Ocean's 8, this movie stars Sandra Bullock, Cate Blanchett, and Hathaway. It is directed by Gary Ross, and it is a spin-off sequel to the trilogy, the Ocean's trilogy 11, 12, and 13 that came out a decade and a bit ago, and that is obviously a remake of the original Ocean's 11 with Frank Sinatra and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of Ocean's 11, the George Clooney one, obviously, and I like the sequels. Obviously, I like 3 a bit more than 2, but when I saw this, I was a bit hesitant. But for some reason, I kind of got more and more anticipated, and I was kind of more ready for this Ocean's 8 movie the closer it got. So going into it was actually a totally different thing than I expected. I expected to be like, oh, they're going to ruin it like they did Ghostbusters, and, it's going to be fucked. But when I got into this one, I was like, okay, this actually can be something fun and enjoyable. And it was. This movie was actually decent. It wasn't phenomenal in any sense, but it wasn't bad in any sense. I kind of sat there in this movie and went, okay, I'm having a fine time with this movie. I wasn't, going, fuck that, get me out of here, or going, this is the greatest movie of all time in any sense. But I had a good time with this film. Now, obviously, Sandra Bullock is playing Danny Ocean's sister, and that is the connection there. There's a few cameos and stuff in there that connects the whole series together, but this is predominantly about the new Ocean's crew, and they have their own heist and their own stuff to go through. You meet these new characters, and you go through their story. And the cast itself is pretty good. I like a lot of the actresses in this movie. Sandra Bullock I am a huge fan of, but honestly, in this role, I didn't love her. I think she kind of came out forced. She wasn't bad by any sense, it didn't ruin the movie, but just because Sandra Bullock is someone that comes off so believable and so likable, it was just different seeing her in this role, and I didn't necessarily get into it. Again, she was not bad, but I just thought maybe it could have been someone else. She did the best she could. I don't think that was the decision they made, and she did what she could with that role. But personally, I just don't believe Sandra Bullock in this specific role she was doing. Anne Hathaway, I'm another huge fan of, and she killed it. She was phenomenal. Rihanna, had a smaller part of the main crew, and she was great. But the 2 characters I didn't expect to like was Helen Bonham Carter and Sarah Paulson. I love both their characters, and for whatever reason, I just found them very, very likable and great to watch, especially Helen Bonham Carter's character, if I'm saying that name correctly. Her character was actually a lot of fun, and I did not expect that. Mindy Kaling was fine. The other lady, I think she has a weird name that's not even like a name. She was alright. And then Cate Blanchett, I'm not a huge Cate Blanchett guy, and she was alright. I think, again, a little bit forced and didn't necessarily come off as much for me, but I think the cast worked as a whole unit, which was nice to see, as well as the few cameos thrown in there. Was enjoyable to watch. It did have its funny moments, and it was cool. But saying that, there is some definitive problems in this movie for sure. I did enjoy watching this movie, but after the movie, I was like, this could have been done so much better. Similar to a movie maybe like a Suicide Squad, where I enjoyed it when watching it, but then kind of thought back and went, no, that could have been done a hell of a lot better. I think this movie is better than Suicide Squad was. Obviously, I haven't rewatched this movie yet, but this one is definitely not. I'm not pointing it with that, but I'm just saying, going into it, enjoying it, and then looking back is a whole nother thing. This movie's heist doesn't really have a huge, you don't get the full stakes and the thrill enough into it. I think it is fine. It is a nice, fun heist to watch, but you just don't get as appealed into watching the heist as you expected. As well as I said about the little cast discrepancies, there's also James Corden's character in this movie. I think he, again, another person and celebrity that I really like, and I just think he wasn't the right fit for the movie, maybe. I feel like it didn't feel as important when he came on. It kind of made it a bit more comedic and not necessarily the intensity that I wanted. And, with a movie like this, there's meant to be high stakes and, threats, and you could get a bit, yeah, come on. And I never really got that. Again, it was fine to watch this heist, but there's a little more stakes going into it, and I just never felt even threatened after that. When stuff went down after, I still never really was really worried about these characters, and I think that's something that really could have improved upon and made it into a really, really good movie. Again, it is enjoyable, and that's why it's a really hard movie to grade, because I liked this movie. I was sitting enjoying this movie. When I looked back on and I went, that could have been changed, that could have been changed, that could have been changed, and they could have made it a better movie for it. Saying that, though, if they end up doing a sequel, making 9 and 10, I'd probably be excited for them, because I know that I like this core group of girls, and with different writing, it could get funnier, it could get better, And, you know, it definitely is the stable here for this movie specifically. I think sets up something that they could extend upon and make Ocean's 9, if they choose to do that, a really fantastic film. And that's what, you know, gets me there. It obviously, you know, it might not please a lot of people because it is very basic and they do have very big similarities to the original movie, especially Ocean's 11, if we're specifying that. And it can come off a bit, not boring, but just not, you know, you're not seeing something as fresh and new. And that's kind of a double-edged sword because you try to do something too new, people are going to go, they ruined it. But then if you're focusing on what they did was the sequel spin-off, you go, well, it's very similar to the Ocean's 11, 12, and 13 movies. So I think it was a hard thing to do. They definitely, if I'm comparing this to Ghostbusters, it was a phenomenally better movie than Ghostbusters. And again, it is a very hard one to rate. But purely because I did enjoy watching this movie, I'm going to give Ocean's 8 a C+. Thank you guys for watching my review of Ocean's 8. Hopefully you guys have actually watched this whole review and not just skip to the rating, because I feel like the rating doesn't fully give what I feel about this movie. It is very hard to rate this movie because I had some definitive problems with it, and that stakes needed to be raised a little bit, and, you know, a little bit in the cast and story and stuff like that. But yeah, I did have fun watching this movie, and I'd probably even watch it again and maybe even buy it, and yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that. So this was a hard movie to watch, hard movie to rate, sorry, and it's one of those things where you go, you compare it to other things, you go, is it as good as that? Is that bad as that? And it doesn't necessarily fit with the rest of the ratings, but I think that's the rating that's fair to give it to. I don't need to spend here 45 minutes explaining my rating. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys want to hear me more talk about this extendedly with a couple of mates, you can listen to my new podcast that comes out on Wednesday. Last week's episode is up, ready for you guys to listen to now. Every single Wednesday we'll be dropping one. It's called Titanium Entertainment Show. You can find the link on my channel, and this week we'll be talking about Ocean's 8. Oz Comic Con, we just attended on the weekend, as well as a few new trailers that are buzzing around on the internet at the moment. So check that out. If you have not already, subscribe to me. If you're seeing me for the first time, give it a thumbs up, comment below what you thought of the video. But of course, guys, have a good one.